Hi everyone, this is Christy from Paper Hoarder Disorder, and this is the first in the series for the online video tutorials for the holiday recipe album or the 4x6 photo album, whichever you're using it for. And we are going to start off by making our pages. And what we've got here is we have our 9.5 by our 6 3/4 pieces, and I have 2 of them here. I only need 1. So on the 6 3/4, we're just going to jump right in here. I hope y'all are ready. So we've got our 6 3/4 here, and we're going to score it at 1/4 inch over here on the edge. And make sure that you're butting your edge up against this side, and don't worry so much about that side. It's more important for it to be square over here because this is going to be our binding edge. So let's go ahead and make it square over here. And we're going to take it 1/4 inch down. And then we're going to rotate it 90 degrees counterclockwise. We're going to do it 4.5 and 9. We'll do that one more time. We've got it on our 6 3/4 inch width. We've got it lined up with this edge. Hopefully it's square, but if it's not perfectly square, you want this side to be the most even. So we're going to score at 1/4 inch. We're going to rotate it 90 degrees counterclockwise. 4.5 and 9. And I've done, we're going to do 8 pages that way, but I've already done my other 6. And so we can, you can go ahead and pause here and get caught up with your other 6 pages and come back. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to start building our pages. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you right here. Do you see this tiny little square, this little rectangle down in the bottom here? That's where we're going to start cutting. That's the only place on this page where there's that tiny little rectangle. So we're going to start with that one on the bottom left. And we are going to cut away the entire score line. And we're going to cut all the way up. And I do mention in the pattern that the longer the blades of your scissors, the straighter your cuts. If you're cutting long straight lines like this, the straighter those will be. So the smaller the scissors, the more you're going to have a hard time because you have to take more chomps. So it kind of does make sense when you think about it. So use your longest shears that you have to do this, and it'll make life a lot easier. Now mine are not perfect. But they don't actually need to be perfect. What you do need to make sure to do, and let me go and zoom in on this. Let's see here. Let me bring the light just a little bit over here. Okay, if you can see, do you see how the entire score line is on this part that I cut away? And when you look at the page, that you see nothing left of that score line. And again, up here, do you see this piece I'm cutting away? I'm cutting it away. I'm cutting away the score line as well. So I'm going just slightly above that score line up there. So that's what you want to remove. So this is what we're going to have left. And I usually just come really close to it and just kind of pull it out of that little corner there. So this is what we have left. We started down at this little rectangle and cut it all the way up. And this is one case, one of the rare instances where, we're washing out just a little bit. Let me change that white balance just a smidge. Okay, that might be a little bit better. So this is one of those cases where cutting away, that's really still, yikes. The contrast isn't, sorry. So this is one of those instances, for the 4th time I believe, where cutting away a little bit too much is actually preferred to not cutting away enough. Because if we don't cut enough away here, if we don't cut away that entire score line, it's going to get in the way of our page hinging back and forth. So let's see here. see if we can do a little better here. Okay, so we've got both of those pages cut, and let's go ahead and start folding them. And so what we're going to do is we've scored on this side, which when we score on the paper, it creates a valley. It creates a divot in the paper. And what is on the back, of course, is raised up. This is raised up, so that's our mountain. So where we score on is our valley, and the reverse is our mountain. So what we want to do is we want to have the valleys, the scored side, facing towards us. And what we want to do is we want to take that 1/2 inch, that scored 1/2 inch here, and we want to start folding that up towards us. Just towards, we're just training it. We're just bringing it up to about a 90 degrees angle. And then what we're going to do is we are going to set that, oh, we got a little sticky something on there. We're going to set that little 1/2 inch tab on the table, and we're going to fold this up and over towards it. And we're going to finger press from the center and outwards. Now, if we start at one end and we push to the other, sometimes you get this tapered effect, and it's not actually straight. In order to avoid that, start in the center and work your way little bits out to the side. So we've done our finger press on here. Let's go ahead and again, let's start in the center and the center. And what I'm using here is the Silhouette Scraper. It's for the Cameo, the Silhouette Cameo. It's called a lifting tool, a scraping tool, I think. And it just works great as a bone folder, and you can pick them up for about $3 or $4. Really, really cheap, very ergonomic, easy to use type bone folder. So, anyways, so what we're going to do is we've got that scored and folded over with our bone folder. And you notice it's really easy to use the flat edge of this rather than a ripping edge of the side of a bone folder. So it helps protect your paper. It folds it rather than ripping it into submission. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take it, and this is the edge that we folded over and creased with our bone folder. We're going to fold this over, and we're going to not just fold it straight on that crease. What we're going to do is we are going to match up the corners, right? And we're going to make our page square with itself. So we're going to come over to the center here. And did you see I just drug my finger to the center, and then we're going to go back and forth, and we're just going to do a finger press, and then we're going to come in here with our bone folder. Okay, and so then we've got a nice square page. And because we've got a 1/4 inch binding here, which can be a little bit of a stinker, what we're going to do is we are going to take our ruler. Sometimes I use my fingernail, but honestly, it's easier to use a ruler. What we're going to do is we're going to stick the ruler in all the way to that scored line. That 1/4 inch scored line. Let me bring this up. Right to the edge of that paper. We're going to set it down here. And we are going to fold this up and over. Then we're going to slide out our ruler, and we're going to give a nice crease. Now, what that did was, as you can see, it creased that tiny little 1/4 inch just perfect, because it got into that tiny little edge, and it kept it nice and straight. And so that's a neat little trick to get that 1/4 inch. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do one more. Again, we have the scored lines facing up towards us. What we're going to do is we're going to flip those down, face down. We're going to start training our paper up at a 90 degree. And then we're going to fold the big piece over the small piece. Don't ask me why, but when you fold the big piece over the small piece, it gives you a straighter crease every time. So we're going to start in the center and work our way out and then all the way across. Flip it over. We've got our little 1/2 inch tab here. And we are going to flip that over, match up our corners. We're going to bring it out and a little bit to the left and the right so that we stay away from the tapering. And then we're going to bring in our ruler. We're going to put it on the edge there. we're going to fold our page over the ruler, slide it out, and give another crease. And so there's our page. Okay, so we've got 2 pages. Now we're going to start gluing them down. So we're going to open this up. We're going to take our glue. Now I'm using Scotch Quick Dry here. Excuse me. I'm using Scotch Quick Dry. Great glue. And we're going to start by adding glue to this 1/2-inch tab here. And I am going to come close to the edge, but not completely up to it. And we're going to make sure we get close to the edges as well. Alright, and then we're also going to, right on this back plate, back by where this tab is, but not on the tab side, on the top part of the page. So we've got our tab, and down here, we're going to fold this over so that our binding tab for our waterfall binding is on the left-hand side. And we're going to make sure that you want to get good pressures in those corners, and then you want to rub. And you don't want to do this any shorter than 5 to 10 seconds. I prefer 10. It's quick dry, not instant dry. And so make sure that you really give good pressure, especially at those corners, because those are the ones that are going to take the most abuse. And so they need to be bound well. Okay, so in here, you can see there's a tiny bit of glue. Go ahead and wipe out that glue. And make sure your corner is down well. Let's go ahead and zoom in on that. Make sure your corner's nice and pinched, that you don't have any gap there, that everything's sealed all the way up. And then we're going to do it again. So we're going to open up our page. We've got our 1/2-inch tab up here. We're going to add our glue. And we are going to close it up. Oops. And see, there's my mistake. Let's go ahead and add a little bit more glue. I forgot the tiny little piece here. And 1/8 of an inch-ish from the edge there. And we're going to seal it up. And this is a great opportunity. Again, we're going to put good pressure in the corners. No less than 5 to 10 seconds. Rubbing that glue in there, giving it good solid pressure. And wherever you have any excess glue, this is where your cuticle stick comes in to play. And it's really handy for getting in those tiny little spots there. So there we go. Now, a good thing to do when you're testing this out is to take one of the little inserts, which this one is not one, but it's big enough, to kind of slide it in there and make sure that you haven't glued anything in your pocket shut from, glue seeping out. So you want to test and make sure, preferably with your booklet or with your little tags, your recipe tags, to make sure that those slide in and out just fine before you glue them into your book. Now's the time to know if you need to make another page, not once it's in the book. So we've got those done, and I went ahead and I got all my other 6 done, and so this is a good time for you to pause and actually, we're going to stop here, and we're going to pick back up on how to make the cover.